Up next, Trump is seriously considering a third term as president? Yeah, that's what reporters are saying. Trump just informed them. Take a listen to Kristen Welker from NBC explaining a conversation she had with the president.
President Trump called me this morning. We discussed a range of topics, including the possibility of him serving a third term. He's joked about it.
I've raised a lot of money for the next race that I assume I can't use for myself, but I'm not 100% sure.
But these were his most extensive comments yet. He told me he's not joking. He said there are methods by which you could do it, but he said it's far too early to think about it. He said he's focused on his current job. At the same time, I did press him on those methods. There's been some discussion about the possibility of Vice President J.D. Vance running perhaps at the top of the ticket with President Trump running in the number 2 slot and then swapping if they were to win. President Trump telling me that is a method. He said there are other methods. I asked if he could give me details, and he said flatly, no. Now, President Trump's allies have said that they are seriously looking at this.
We're working on there. We're not prepared to talk about it publicly, but in a couple of months, I think we will be.
Here's what you need to know, though. It is incredibly complicated to change the Constitution. Serving a third term is prohibited by the Constitution. So this is something that would be far out of reach by any measure. And again, President Trump insisting for right now, he's focused on his current job.
Hey, so this is bizarre. First and foremost, Trump just seems confused because Kristen Welker released the transcript of their phone call, and if it's all true, and I do, look, I mistrust the media as much as anyone. I find it hard to believe that NBC News would release a false transcript. So I am proceeding under the operation or the assumption that it is true. And under that assumption, Trump seems incredibly confused if he thinks that it's even an option that he could run as vice president for a third term and then JD could be president and then they could swap. No, you're ineligible to be vice president if you've already served 2 terms as president because, and this is plainly written, you have to be eligible to be president, to be vice president, and you're not eligible to be president under the 22nd Amendment if you've already served and been elected to 2 terms. This is very plainly written, and it's kind of alarming that Trump wouldn't know this basic fact about how our Constitution works. More importantly, this is such a massive distraction that literally no one asked for. I mean, maybe a few diehard Trump fanboys are like, yes, please, we must have a third term. But guys, he'll be really old by then. He's already not exactly a spring chicken or a paragon of health. I mean, he had a Diet Coke button installed in the Oval Office. Indulging this, joking about it, discussing it as if it's a remotely serious or legitimate possibility doesn't help MAGA beat the cult allegations. Like, it really does make Trump Republicans look crazy when a lot of them are not. A lot of them are normal Americans, and a lot of them don't even want this, okay? It's just a total distraction from whatever he could be pointing to or talking about that actually might happen, that might help people, that might be productive. Instead, Trump and his allies are encouraging this utter delulu. Why? No one wants this. America doesn't want kings. We have the term limits for the presidency for a reason. And remember, guys, if Trump could have a third term, then that means a future president AOC could too. Shoe's always going to be on the other foot at some point. The only way this could ever happen that would be remotely legal or constitutional would be if they literally amended the Constitution to change or alter or get rid of the requirement in the 22nd Amendment that you can only serve 2 terms. And that is an extensive process that requires you to get a 2/3 vote in Congress. Never going to happen. And then 3/4 of the states have to ratify that amendment. Also, never going to happen. There's only one way to even go about this, and that way is essentially impossible given basic political reality. So the entire thing just comes off as crazy and a distraction. Of course, liberal media outlets love it because it gives them the fodder they want to paint Trump as if he's like this dictator and he's this terrible guy who wants to cling on to power. And it would be pretty easy to not feed into that narrative by simply saying, no, I'm not going to run for a third term ever. That's completely off the table. I respect the Constitution. And anyway, I'll be really old and I just want to spend time with my grandkids. And we'll see who comes next. We got stuff to focus on now. That's literally all you have to say to avoid this calamity of a news cycle. But sometimes Trump and his friends, they just can't help themselves. What do you guys think? Are you as exacerbated by this story as I am? Do let me know in the comments.